Hello. Hello, everybody. Now we're live. now we're live. I'm in the show. You know what? This is how things go. Technology. Am I right? What is this? MySpace?
Yes.
All right, everybody, stick around. We're going to have another gift card at the end. But right now, we're going to have an awesome fireside chat about careers and entrepreneurship. First up is an Army spouse who has a background in program management, business development, workforce development, is an advocate for solving military spouse unemployment, has been recognized as a subject matter expert. She has contributed to panel discussions, authored op-eds, has been called on to support various members of Congress with military spouse initiatives. And now with Amazon, she uses her expertise to build strategic programmatic solutions that deliver friction-free results for our customers. That's what I want in a good pant. Friction-free results. She's the board chair of the Military Spouse Chamber of Commerce, board member for militaryspouseJobs.org, advisory board member for Blue Star Families, Blue Star, and an alumni of the George Bush Stand to Veteran Leadership Program. Everybody, please give a warm welcome to Beth Conlon. Hi, Beth.
Hello. Thank you, everyone. Let's give Barb an intro, and I'm going to cheers my kombucha for those of us that are up late or early mornings.
Excellent work.
As my beverage to keep me going.
You get that kombucha going. I'm always nervous about kombucha because it says like 0.00% alcohol. And I'm like, can I drive? That's how my brain works.
Does it?
Oh, no. Sorry, Beth. Beth's drunk. It's fermented. It's like sauerkraut. You get drunk on sauerkraut. Me and my facts. Isn't that great?
Good fact.
Up to talk with Beth is an Air Force veteran who now leads the IVMF's expansive portfolio of career training, educational, and care coordination programs, which together serve and impact more than 20,000 service members, veterans, and military families each year. She provides leadership and operational oversight of the IVMF's Washington, D.C. headquarters, which is planned to open later this summer. Please welcome Barb Carson. Hi, Barb.
Thanks, Ashley. And hi, Beth.
Hi, Barb. Good to see you.
You too.
So, guys, let's just kick things off. Can you tell me what SOFA is and how does it apply to all these people that are overseas?
Great question, Ashley. I would love to tell you. So I was personally victimized by the Status of Forces Agreement, or the SOFA, in 2013. And have since unintentionally become a deep expert on what exactly it is, what barriers it creates or doesn't create, and how we can remove that barrier for us military spouses to maintain either private sector employment or entrepreneurship endeavors. So the Status of Forces Agreement is, in the simplest form, it's a peacetime treaty with host nation countries where we have a permanent presence of military forces. So think like post-World War II in Germany, across Europe, think anyone living in Japan, South Korea, Spain, anywhere where we have foreign families or service members, there is a Status of Forces Agreement in place that is designed to help maintain legal adjudication authority of those military personnel. So that's the simplest form. The more complicated form is that it is a State Department agreement that is negotiated by the State Department, but like owned, for lack of a better word, by DoD, but then also ratified by the Senate. So it's a two-country tri-agency agreement, which lends to the complications around SOFA. If anyone has ever had challenges with SOFA and employment, you may have heard like, it's just too complicated, or, the SOFA has been this way for millennia. And so that is a little bit of like why it appears to be so complicated.
It does to me, some of the spouses that have reached out to me where they're like, I can't get a job, or if they are, they're actually from that country and then they suddenly can't work. Like, it all gets made so complicated. Why do people, I guess this is just a deeper question, why do people ruin things? Barb?
Well, thanks for turning that over to me. I have a great answer. I think Beth can get into a little bit more. There are options for just being an American citizen and not necessarily being present. It can be different for entrepreneurship than it is for employment, but there are measures you can take to be there as an American citizen yourself and not as a plus one with the SOFA agreement. So perhaps that's not easier, Ashley. It doesn't solve all the world problems, but Beth, if you could talk to that too, that there are some things that just aren't addressed. And so we are trying to educate people overseas, both in the services and elsewhere, that SOFA doesn't necessarily apply to everything or restrict.
Exactly. So the problem with SOFA is it's actually the lack of a problem. So the status of forces agreement actually does not address employment at all, period, full stop. Your SOFA status is your reason for being in the country. So think if you were just going to go to Italy for this, for 3 weeks or go to Thailand for a couple of weeks, you would go on a tourist visa. That tourist visa is like your reason for being in that country. And in most cases, it's like a 90-day limit. But when it's a SOFA stat, that is like your person's reason for physically being allowed to be in the country. Additionally, like if you were working for a private sector or any employer actually, and they were sending you overseas, you would then be on like a work visa, typically an A3 visa. That again would be like your reason to legally be in the country. For SOFA, it actually doesn't address employment. In the rare instance that it does, it's very specific to the host nation agreement and will say something like, by standing up this military installation in this country, we reserve 30% of the jobs for local nationals in the host nation. But otherwise, for private sector employment or entrepreneurship, it's not mentioned. And so the problem has been SOFA doesn't say anything about employment. So people have said it doesn't say I can work, so that must mean I can't. And I'll give you personal experience. When I PCS to Germany and was forced to quit my job, even though my employer, they were going to transfer me to the Munich office, they were fine. They were fine. They were a global employer. It was a non-issue. I asked the question, I said, if my employer transfers me to Germany, does that affect my SOFA status and therefore my service member? Would it maybe somehow take me off of the orders? Would it maybe make him look like he was single and had to live in the barracks? And no one could answer me, literally nobody. And so the result of that was, well, it's not really clear in the SOFA, so I guess you can't work here. So I had to quit my job, after 10 years, literal 10 years of working on this, I've come to understand that the SOFA doesn't mention anything about employment. And the fact that we have gone into it saying, well, it doesn't say I can, so it means I can't. We have been, and I'm certain, I would love to see the comments on this. We have been subjected to just like urban legends that are bizarre of like, this country says, if I work, they're going to take away my DOD access. Or this country says, if I work, they're going to make my service member move into the barracks. Or this country says, if I work, then I'm going to have to go to some sort of financial penalty or something like that. And none of that, literally none of that is true, but we haven't been able to prove otherwise. So I've been on a literal 10-year-long journey to help clarify the SOFA. It is currently a perceived barrier to employment or entrepreneurship that does not exist. So I'm happy to answer any questions. Please put them in the chat. I can't answer you on the chat, but I can see them. And I will happily respond to them in real time when Barb and I are talking. But long story short, the SOFA is this misnomer of being a barrier for employment and entrepreneurship, and it's really not.
Thanks, Beth.
Yeah. Go ahead, Barb.
Ashley, I want to turn it back over to you in a second. But I wanted to say, if there are some entrepreneurs in the chat, that would be helpful to know too. If we're going to talk more about employment or anybody's thinking about business overseas. My intro doesn't say that I am now a veteran spouse, but I was an active duty spouse for 26 years and did try a business venture in Okinawa, Japan. And so if there are people who are wondering, how do you do that? What are some steps? What are some free resources? We'd love to share those, but we don't really know how many of you are interested in which part of the overseas experience for self-employment or employment.
Well, heck yeah, put it in the chat, guys. Come on. Yeah, I love that, Barb. And Beth, you kept bringing up you were worried that your husband might live in the barracks. Would that have not been such a worry if, like, maybe there were times where you were mad at him and you could just do it in specific instances?
I mean, isn't that sort of a dream of all of us? If I'm like, could you just go away? Right? I mean, I don't know about you, but like my husband was deployed back to back to back to back for like 7 years.
Yeah.
And so then after those 7 years, when he was just here, I'm like, you're here. I love you so much, but you are just here all the time.
You're here. Why can you do all these big boy things, but yet your pants, they can't quite make it into the laundry basket? I don't understand that. I don't understand. And that is what we're going to talk about today. No. Do you you've talked about how difficult it is, and I've seen in the chat that there are people that are overseas that are interested in it. Is there any way to get a definitive answer? Is it like a onesie twosie kind of a thing?
So here's the deal. Nicole Murray, you asked the question. So what group would have a definitive answer? I imagine if we left it up to private companies, they aren't going to spend the energy to dig into it. Nicole, there is a definitive answer. SOFA doesn't impact employment. So for example, I currently work at Amazon. I personally, as the military spouse program manager and now a tech BD, different role, have supported dozens of military spouses going overseas. I will caveat this. I can get super nerdy on SOFA and like international tax treaties. So I will try not to do that. But the bottom line is, if your employer is able to support you in an overseas location, excellent. SOFA is not the thing standing in the way like we've all been told it was for decades. I promise you. So if your employer has a process to support you on an overseas location, lean into it, go for it. It will not affect your SOFA status. You will remain on your service members' orders. There are no challenges there. For entrepreneurs, there's some questions in the chat about entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. So Barb, this is a specialty of yours. So give your POV first.
Okay, I think you'll be able to dive deeper into some of the technicalities. I'm going to look at the massage therapy for Davina. I can't answer that specifically, but if you're on an installation, there can be places or instances where you can't compete with an AFI service. That's still a restriction. So if there's a similar service that is offered, you'll have trouble getting that. Another common one that many people already know is you cannot use an APO box for any business purpose. And I'm not just talking about getting products sent in that you're going to then distribute. No business mail either. So you really need to work on having local resources, and consider you're going to have a US-based business, and there are certified agents that can help you with, you've got a physical address in the state where your business is formed, and they can do things like open your mail and take care of legal items for you. There is a cost, of course, for that. It's not free, but and then business banking. Make sure that you've got a bank that can support your activities legally, and that you don't use your personal bank for your business activities while you're overseas. It's a good idea not to do that in the United States either. So those are just a few of the things that you'll want to think about. I think Beth shared some links up above on the Social Security Administration that and taxes in general. So countries do have bilateral agreements often with the United States, and you can possibly reduce their tax burden by properly filing. And because you're paying US taxes, you don't want to pay twice to another country as well. So pay attention to those things and know that you're not alone on them. I was at the Small Business Administration before coming to the IVMF. So this is, I would say there, and Beth's tool that she also gave in the chat on the toolkit gives many of those free resources where you can get advice. So you don't have to go and pay lawyers and attorney or accountants for the basics on much of this. So please do check out those free resources at SBA and in the guide that Beth put in. And then I did share a link. I can't get into the chat myself for the programs that we have at IVMF, and I'll tell you more about those after Beth has a chance to talk about some of the points she wants to make on entrepreneurship overseas.
For overseas entrepreneurs, if you go to, and I think we're going to put it in the chat right now, Military OneSource, there is a toolkit for military spouse entrepreneurs that, like, full disclaimer, I'm the board chair of the Mil Spouse Chamber, and we worked together with Military OneSource to put this together. But it is a guide on how to properly operate your business. And there are some keys in there about if you are OCONUS, and Barb mentioned them, there still is that clause, you can't compete with AFES. But if you are in Japan, luckily for you, Lakeisha Cole came before you and she just blazed a trail. So she is a very successful entrepreneur and essentially refused to take no for an answer, as she should. And was able to just really move the needle in Japan for operating their own business. So I'm an Army spouse, so I apologize if you are not with the Army, but if you are an Army spouse, you need to go to your MWR or your housing office to get the guidelines on how to operate your business. If you are any other branch of service, I do not know what you call those offices, but they should have the reciprocal information about how you should operate your business in Japan. And then this actually goes for wherever you're located. The housing office or the MWR, the like morale and welfare office, or like the community engagement office, either one of those will have what you need to do to properly like register your business and do business in that country. So don't sleep on those. They have streamlined them a lot from like the 38 page I had to fill out in Germany to the more like simplified just agreements to help understand who's doing what on the installation. So entrepreneurship should not be out of the question for you while you're overseas. And then I saw someone mention something about Italy. So quick story on Italy. Italy, if you've not been there, was notoriously sort of the worst for fear mongering with like no real reason. And it was to the, they were famous for saying, if you are doing anything but working on the installation, we're going to take away your DoD ID, which they can't do. But, there was just a lot of fear put instilled in military spouses saying, well, I'm going to Italy, I just can't work on the sofa. That has since been radically revised with what they called an exchanging of letters. And it is essentially a very, 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 very detailed explanation of what it means to work in Italy, whether you're working for the private sector or you're working for yourself. If you haven't seen that a full agreement, I think we have a link for that in the chat, but it is, I did not write this, but a military spouse obviously wrote this because there are like 56 FAQs that only a military spouse concerned about entrepreneurship or employment would think to ask. It is the most clear explanation of what it means to be on military orders, living overseas and wanting to work. And my ask for everyone listening to this, either now or later, is that to demand that same level of clarity in the country you're in. That is all that the SOFA has been, this perceived barrier due to lack of clarity. So take that Italy example and go wherever you need to go in your installation command to say, hey, how do we get this kind of clarity? And I'm not saying all of the answers in the Italy agreement are the right answers, but they're very, very clear. And we all deserve that level of clarity. So I challenge you all to ask for that same level of clarity where you're living.
Yeah, super. It's hard, isn't it? Because it's like, hey, I just want to work. I don't want to change the world. But
you
what can we
have
do?
to start a nonprofit just to do your job.
But this is where we are. So, and we're all doing it together. So nobody's alone. Well, you know what? I feel like you might have answered it, but I had one in here that was from JJ just talking about he said there are no roadblocks to entrepreneurship overseas, or if there are, what are they? And that I've had people say, well, just don't tell the truth. And I never think that that's a good option. I feel like you don't want to get caught or anything like that. But it's,
I'm not going to answer that question. I'll choose another one to answer that I want to. There are one more resource I forgot to mention was the American Chamber or the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. There are American chambers, AmCham, at every embassy it can be great for building a network in the country that you're in, getting information and connecting. And also the United States really would love it if we were exporting more. So the state where you are a resident, they have STEP grants coming from the U.S. Small Business Administration that does things like pay for some resources for small business, including chamber membership and others. There's a link. It's really long and hard to see in the chat, but that could be another way that, even when you return to the United States, if you have built up some local relationships and you want to export, you could get a lot of help doing that. And financing also for international trade is the SBA has some great lending products for that too, to get the capital that you might need. So think of the future too, not just that moment in time that you are overseas.
I'm going to just double tap that AmCham. So when I first moved to Germany and was victimized by the SOFA, I started my own business because you're not going to tell me no, first of all. But then when I then went from Germany for 3 years immediately to South Korea, and I discovered AmCham in South Korea, and it was, you guys, if you were sleeping on AmCham, I'm so sorry. It was the most amazing resource. One, just living in a foreign country is hard, especially when you don't speak the language. And so it was so great to go. I went to mixers and socials and business networking things with people that at least I could somewhat communicate with, all through AmCham for free. And I also was able to just understand better, how, what I needed to understand how to operate in the South Korean economy. AmCham, don't sleep on it. It's great. Also the resources that from the SBA and your state of resident that Barb just mentioned, all of those go wildly underused. They're grants to support your growth. So don't, if you are an entrepreneur, do not sleep on those. Also, plug for Military Spouse Chamber of Commerce. We have 1 million free resources for you as well, to include educational benefits, insurance for you and your team, 401k options. And we partner with companies like Disney, Amazon, J&J. So if you have a product or service that you want to offer to the private sector, the Military Spouse Chamber of Commerce is the only entity that can certify you as military spouse owned. And then we can put you into that pipeline of diverse suppliers so that the largest companies and the smallest companies across the country can search for how to engage with you. So they're entrepreneurship, it's in the golden age. There's tons of opportunities. Don't sleep on any of them. And also don't think SOFA is the reason you can't do those things.
Yeah, I just typed in AmChams of Asia Pacific, and there's the whole website that says this says amchammap.com, but looks like there's all kinds of resources. So the American Chamber of Commerce, check them out. We got the double thumbs up from us. So what do you guys where do you want this to go? I know that you both want to help people, and you want everybody to be able to get jobs or be successful in the countries that they want. Is there a light at the end of the tunnel? Is there where do you want it to end up?
I'll say for private sector, and I'll let Barb speak for entrepreneurship. For private sector employment, do not think that because you are getting stationed overseas, you have to quit your job because of the SOFA. That is just not true. If you work for a global employer, ask them about their international transfer policy. If you do not work for a global employer, if you work for a business that only operates in the US, there somewhere up the chat, there were links about Social Security Administration. Ask them, hey, can you support me overseas? Because just because they operate in the US doesn't mean they can't support you overseas. So don't think that the SOFA is the end all be all to your career, like I thought it was for me 10 years ago and was absolutely devastated. It's not. So my light at the end of the tunnel for you is that regardless of where you live, SOFA is not the thing that prevents you from working.
Great. And my light at the end of the tunnel is that because of the work that Beth has done and many other military spouses like Lakeisha, entrepreneurship opportunity for military spouses is now an opportunity, not a necessity. A lot of us chose it because we couldn't carry on with our employment track as we desired. So realize you are very valuable as an individual. You could be even more valuable and have more flexibility in what you want to do by creating your own enterprise.
Awesome. I feel like this was super encouraging. I feel like people, if you have things in the chat, obviously, I don't know if you can cut and paste all the links that I put in there, or maybe take some screenshots or things like that. But Thank you guys so much for coming and chatting with us and for paving the way, doing all the stuff to make sure that other people can, figure it out just a little bit easier. We're all just doing our part to get a little bit closer to everybody being successful.
Thanks, Ashley, and cheers to all of you in the Pacific.
Thank you, Ashley. And we're still monitoring your questions in the chat, so drop them if you have them. But thanks everyone for your time.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Thanks for coming. We do have a prize. If you guys are interested. If you're not interested in a prize, I can take it. I can go. I can take the prize. I can. What would I spend it on? Let's see here. What is it? Let me look. Just teasing it here. What is it? Is a $50 Amazon gift card from MSF. You know who that is? Military Spouse Fest. Hey, that's me. I can see me on the thing right there. So our prize winner right now for this $50 is Kiri Byland. Kiri, I've seen your name in the chat. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Welcome. And Kiri, you won as you're asking a question. What's the website for the tutor site? Tutor.com. If you guys come, if we ever come in, we meet you in person, just know that Maureen from tutor.com gives away great candy. She's super awesome. I feel like we've got a lot of, you like the drum roll? You guys are great. Oh, there you go. military.com/home. There I am again. Hi, everybody. I'm going to bring up Kathy. Kathy is an amazing comedian. No.
No pressure.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I've had it's been quite the day. It's a day I didn't think I would have.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ashley. I'm going to take over for just a minute here. It's so nice to meet you all. My name's Kathy Pummel. I am an Air Force veteran spouse. I am the VP of Partnerships here at Recurrent Ventures, and I'm responsible for all military partnerships, including MilSpouse Fest. So all of the amazing sponsors that you guys have met tonight is from my team. We're responsible for bringing them in and getting them to support and engage with our spouses. So a huge thank you to all of our sponsors. It means more than you'll ever know. I have been given the impossible task of introducing Ashley tonight. And while you guys have been hearing from her all night, I do want to give you a very brief intro into who she is and hand her the mic after that for her to do what she does best, which is make everybody laugh. So Ashley is an Air Force spouse. In fact, she is the Armed Forces Insurance Air Force Military Spouse of the Year. That was a mouthful. She is a and fierce military advocate. She appeared on The Tonight Show and won the Seinfeld Challenge. Most importantly, she is more than loved by our MSF team here. So please welcome Ashley. Ashley, thank you so much for being here and supporting what we do.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Kathy. Always great to see you. Guys, we did it. I don't know what time. Tell me what time. Put in the chat what time it is where you are. I'll tell you what time it is for me. It is 9:25 p.m. Do I know what day it is? Absolutely not. No. Is it? No, it's not Thursday. It might be Thursday for some of you. So first of all, let me just introduce myself properly. My name is Ashley Gutermuth, but nobody can pronounce Gutermuth, so you can all call me by my nickname, sir. Yeah. I don't mind if people call me sir, as long as they follow it up with, we'd like to pay you 20% more. Then it's fine. Then it's not a problem. I love to tell that joke when it's like the audience is half men, half women. And then I watch the men sit there like this. And then the women go, yeah. And then they look at their husbands and then they punch them. It's always a good time. Oh, we're getting some time stamps in here. Look at that. 9:25, 9:20, 4:25, 11:25. Look at that. And then you can figure out where everybody is in the world. So I am a military spouse, and I get to do a lot of interesting things because I make a lot of silly videos and put them online. And I was a stand-up comedian long before I started doing things like that, and a military spouse long before that. But let me tell you about what I did today. You heard me say, and please keep typing in the chat. Remember, as a comedian, I need all of your positive affirmations so that I don't die inside. Very important. You could type in your Starbucks order and I'll be like, yeah, standing ovation, yay. There you go, Daniel with the LOLs. There we go. We like that. So today, last week I was, God, if I don't know what today is, I definitely don't know where I was last week. I think I was in Las Vegas at the Military Influencers Conference. If you've never been, you should go. And I got a message I got an email that said, the president and Dr. Biden would like to invite you to their Christmas party. And doesn't that sound like I'm being pranked? What? Excuse me? And that comes as an email? Shouldn't that come from like an owl? How would you expect the president to invite you to a Christmas party? Put it in the chat. I would think it would be like Hogwarts. Didn't they send an owl? So I got this notice and I was like, okay, well, the president wants you to come to the Christmas party. You go. But I didn't know why I was being invited. I didn't know why I was being invited until today when I got there. And Dr. Biden made a speech and she said, you are all here today because I wrote it down, changed the way that news and media is delivered this past year. And I said, ma'am, thank you so much for noticing. Have you seen the video where I put a sardine on a Twinkie? I don't know if they need to up their standards. The sardinky got me into the White House, guys, is what I'm trying to say. It was pretty neat. There was some cool White House things that happened. Like I got shuffled away. They said, we want you to meet someone. And they took me down through Secret Service and they took me through these fancy doors and they made me wait for a bit and they handed me a card that had my name on it. And I was like, I already know what this is. And they said, you will be first in line to meet the First Lady. And I was like, great, bunch of firsts. This is awesome. And they introduced me to her and they had a little photographer there. And I said, this is all beautiful. And she was like, oh yeah, it's nice. It's nice. And I said, and it smells really great. It smells great here. What would you say? What would you say if you got to meet the First Lady for the first time? Would you say your house smells nice? It smells like I walked into a Yankee Candle. Great job. Great job. But here's what, to her credit, she said, oh, I thought that was me. So she's got jokes. She's got jokes. I had a good time. I got to, they walk around, they let you have free reign of the White House, which is not right. You just walk around like a bunch of silly gooses. There's paintings of George Washington and they're just handing you what looks like champagne and a Viennetta. You remember Viennettas from back in the day? I don't know if you Ashley says, I have no idea. I had a good time. It's just, it's interesting. One of the things that I want to make sure that you guys know, just from this experience that I had today, was that there was a real mix of people that were there. There were the person that runs the Surgeon General's social media. There was, there's like the account executives. And then there were the people that create the content stuff, like me being a comedian, or there were other people there. And you could totally tell the difference between the account executives and the silly people. The professional silly people had on what looked like pajamas. Like some of them, pajama or like shiny shoes. Like there was something else going on. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, man, I dressed like a Secret Service agent. So just so I could blend in. I liked when I go to somebody's house, I like to help. That's just me. I have been told that I have a bit of a, when I go places like that, I'm told that I have a bit of an unusual look. So my mom is Polish and my dad is the mean kid from Toy Story. It's just, I don't know how they met. Davina says Viennetta is fancy. It's true. It was always in the back of the freezer. Just freezer burnt. But like I was saying, the people that were there because they broke rules and because they were being themselves. And that's sort of a message that I want to impart on you guys today, that in order to get to the places where you want to be, you have to be as comfortable as you can be with yourself. And to anybody that won't accept you, okay, screw them. You wear those pajamas. You wear the pajamas to the White House. You dress like the Secret Service. One of the best things I saw was there was a kid there that had been brought by his parents, and that the parents were like super excited to bring their kid, and the kid just said, "Can I text my friends?" So, teenagers are awful everywhere. I don't know how much of you, like, I don't know if you've seen my videos at all or anything like that, but I get judged a lot on social media. It doesn't really bother me, but I get judged for having short hair. People act like I don't know I have it. They'll just like, "Oh, have you seen yourself? Have you seen it?" They'll go to my social media pages and they'll call me a 12-year-old boy. I get that all the time. They'll be like, "Hey, I looked at your photos. I went through all your Facebook photos and I looked and I looked and I looked. And you look like a 12-year-old boy." Okay. First of all, you got, I don't know if you can see this right here. This is a boy's 14. So deal with that. And also, if I look like a 12-year-old boy to you, what are you doing on my Facebook, you creep? You know what I mean? Here's a tip. Like, if you're gonna do anything like that, don't message the 12-year-old boy. Definitely don't do it. They always, the funny thing with these people that send me nasty messages, they'll always come back like 2 days later and they'll be like, "Hey, I'm sorry. I was super drunk. Will you forgive me?" And I always forgive them, but not in my heart. And that's what you should, that's my message here today. That's my message. How's everybody doing? Oh, there we go. Brady's like, yes. They're just jealous they can't pull. You're very kind. Thank you. I used to have super long hair. I grew it out really, really long, and I had to cut it off because I got it stuck in a car door. And it's hard to explain that to the ER doctor, how you got whiplash. It's not good. And Tanya says you got to see a picture of her with long hair. It was super long. It was in food all the time. Now I got fast hair. And now that I've discovered hair dust, if any of you have short hair, Google hair dust. It's life-changing. I don't know. I get crazy messages all the time. I got a message from a guy the other day, and it was just, I'll read it to you. Here's what it says. Okay. All right. Let me pull it up here. So it was just so ridiculous. It says, "Hey, you're really not that funny." And you're just like, okay. I wrote, "Thanks, Matt." He said, "Maybe it's me. You should smile a bit." How many of you have ever had like a random guy come up to you and ask you to smile? Just looking in the chat, it's like nobody. Everybody's like, nope. We walk with a permanent smile on our face. Permanent smile. I hate it. I don't like it when people come up and tell, like, it's my face. Why are you trying to run yet to be? And it's like, what? Every day you're old. Every day somebody told you to smile at your old. JJ's always smiling, so he's fine. It drives me crazy. It's just like, what are you doing? The only thing that I can think of to do when men tell me to smile, especially if they're like really persistent about it online, is the only thing that they respect is inventing conspiracy theories. That's one of my favorite. You have to have fun. If somebody harasses, especially online, you have to have fun with it. So what I told him was, I said, "Matt, the people that hire me to make Facebook videos specifically ask me not to smile." And then I wrote, "Please send help." He just wrote back one of those shocked emojis. Just he said, "That's odd. Looks like you have a nice smile. I'm going to watch some more of you. I love your haircut also. Who cuts it? What? I'm in a relationship with Matt now. How do I get out? Does anybody have any tips?" What I did was at the end, he just asked me how old I was. And I don't know if any of you know this, like if somebody asks you how old you are, it is none of their business. I told 3 people today I'm 70. Yep. Went up to the first lady and I was like, 75. She was like, what's your secret? I said, apple cider vinegar. Right here, babe. Right here. Right by the eyes. Like, doesn't that burn? Yeah. How bad do you want to be young? You got to think about it. Like that. But he did. He asked me how old I was. And I was just like, what do I got to, like, this guy will not leave me alone. I don't often block people unless they're really terrible. I was like, he won't leave me alone. He's asking me how old I am. And I was just like, you know what, Matt? I'm 12. So we're just send the cops to his house. That's really my main goal. Here's the guys that care the most about my haircut are the guys that have my haircut. You know what I mean? Like, what's the matter, Chad? Is my fade better? You need to tip more. That's what I think. Literally today, before I went to the White House, I got told that my short hair makes me look too manly. I'm like, you can call for other reasons, Dad. You can. I have a crazy, it's crazy. My dad, I have an Army dad. Did any of you have an Army dad? You know, one of those dads where it's like, there is no pleasing. You cannot please an Army dad. No, there's no making an Army dad happy. My dad, when he got out of the Army, he's one of those guys that immediately puts on the Vietnam cap. Was not in Vietnam. He's just like, I earned this. Like, no, you were in the 80s. Nothing was happening, Dad. My dad's like, oh, I hope you don't mind. Like, oh, did I raise a little snowflake? Is that what I did? I raised a little snowflake. I don't mind if you had short hair because I always wanted a boy. Guys, that's super rude to my brother. It's super rude. Super rude. Oh, yeah, your dad, Marine Corps, Vietnam vet dad. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, your dad could beat up my dad. My dad stockpiled Twizzlers and sourdough pretzels in case of war. And I just feel like that's not, like, maybe something that'll last longer. And also I was 5, so maybe don't just stockpile treats and then tell me I can only have them if there's a war. But that's how you make a comedian. That's what I think. When I was growing up, I always leaned into like more traditional boy stuff. Like, you know, even now, I like athletic clothes. That's kind of what I'm into. But I leaned into more traditional boy stuff. Like with my friends, I would always play doctors and nurses, and I would choose to be the CEO of a pharmaceutical company. That was my favorite. You got to go to the top. You got to rise to the top. Probably my favorite thing as a kid was I would ride in the back of my dad's truck. That was the best. Did you guys ride in the back of your dad's truck? Dad's truck, mom's truck, anybody's truck? You can't do it anymore. They say you can't do it anymore because it's not safe. It's not safe to let your kids ride in the back of the truck. Are you kidding me? It's not safe. You know what I think's not safe? Not teaching your kids to duck when the cops come. You know, teach your kids how to lean into the turn. That's important. How are kids these days learning balance if they're not falling out of the back of a pickup? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe, I don't know. It's me. I love to ride in the back of my dad's truck. And I grew up in Pittsburgh. My dad would take me out on the Pennsylvania Turnpike. And well, I would like lay down and I would wait until he got to like 60, 70 miles an hour. And then my favorite thing would be I would look around to see if there were any other cars. And then I would stand up and surf. Did you ever surf in the back of the truck? Oh my God, that was amazing. Surfing in the back of the truck. They hit those Pennsylvania potholes. Just it's like a ramp. As soon as he saw me doing that, he would turn into Captain Safety. He'd wind down his window and he'd be like, hey, Ashley, bend your knees. Okay. All right. Nicole says, my dad used to make us sit unbuckled in the back of his van with his Harley. His van had the Harley in it. And Nikki says it's legal in Hawaii for people to ride in the truck bed. Wow. That's interesting. So my dad had a van when I was a baby. I think that's how he met my mom. He just like held candy out. I don't know. It was like a creepy, no wind, like a windowless gray van that he lived out of. And he, instead of, they didn't give me a baby seat, which I want you to know, like, I know I said I was 70 earlier. I'm not. It was definitely illegal to not put their infant when I was born in not in a baby seat. What they did was they put me in a laundry basket. They put me in a laundry basket like I was a kitten that they had found. Just weaved the seatbelt into it. It's just like, I can make more kids. Look at it. I don't know. I feel like the 90s were different. Kids these days, they'd be just wrapped in a bubble. I must be getting old. I'm like, kids these days, they didn't put their parents didn't put them in pink laundry baskets. They didn't make them ride in the back of the truck. They didn't give them stun guns when they were being bullied at school. How are they going to learn? Different lives, different lives. I feel like I can't take my dad anywhere. The other day, he saw me eating an organic apple, and he just goes, "Huh, liberal." I didn't know that organic apples were the bat signal for liberals. So I hope he never sees me coming out of a Whole Foods, because he'll have an aneurysm. Won't be good. My dad, I joke about it, but he does worry about me. So I got in a really bad car accident. I was based out of Lewis McChord on the West Coast, Washington State. I got into a really bad car accident about 3 years ago, and the car got totaled, flipped around on the highway. And I immediately called my dad. It was late at night. I was coming back from a stand-up show. And I said, "Hey, I want you to know I was in a car accident. It was really bad. The Prius was totaled." And he said, "All right, I'm on my way." Oh my God, you drove a Prius? And he focuses on the wrong things, Yeah, Carrie, they did a laundry basket. Ashley, I also like how you spell your name correctly. You spell it the right Ashley way. Mm-hmm. Do any of you have one of these? My Aura ring just caught my eye. Do any of you have an Aura ring? This thing is like my dad. It thinks it knows everything. It's one of these biometric rings, and it's super passive aggressive. If you eat late at night or you drink alcohol, it knows. It knows if you eat late at night or drink alcohol. It sends you these passive aggressive messages. It'll be like, "Hey, something kept your heart rate up late last night, but don't worry, you'll pull through." Okay. Yeah, I didn't think that pint of Ben and Jerry's was going to kill me, but here we are. Now, here's the thing. They sent me an email. Oh my God. They sent me this email that this ring on my finger can be used as birth control. I don't think it makes me look that ugly. What do you think? Like, are you kidding me? No, I went to a Catholic school. I don't even trust toilet seats. You think I trust this? No way. Not true. You trusted it? Would you guys trust it? You have to look it up. That's it. Daniel says, "Where are you supposed to put it?" It's like, I don't know. It's crazy. Jimmy, yeah, it's right. It's super smart. I don't know where it gets. Where's the brain? Where's the brain in it? I know you guys move a lot, and I don't know who's here has the most moves. Anybody got over 10 moves? I know Melanie had a lot. Would she have like 17? 13. Daniel's got 13. Anybody beat 13? I think I've got 7. Don't want that ring. My Garmin was bad enough when it congratulates me for a great nap. I would love that. Just well done. Well done. I'll hang in there. I'll hand in there, Daniel. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. No worries. This isn't my first rodeo. One time I did a virtual show during the pandemic. And the company forgot to advertise it. So the only person that showed up was the one HR lady. And then she said some very suggestive things to me. Kelsey's moved 12 and at least 2 more. Davina's moved 12. Yeah. That's a lot. I move a lot. We all I move like every 2.5 years. And I have to move a lot because of my husband's job. My job is convincing people that I have a husband. That is full-time. It's full-time. 100%. Nobody believes I have a husband. Nobody, like, Sometimes I'll look at myself in the mirror and I'm just like, do I? Not sure. Not sure. Still working on it. People are so weird about it. They'll be like, hey, is your husband more masculine than you? Huh? Is your husband more masculine than you? Yeah, he crushes walnuts with his teeth and owns land. Take that. Take that. For those of you that are married in here, have you ever lost your wedding ring? Like by accident, not divorce. Keep it light, guys. Mil spouse best. We don't want to lose sponsors because you're like, yeah, I got divorced. Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. I was talking to this guy once and he lost his wedding ring. Where was I? Oh, I was in Pennsylvania. And it was one of those towns where everybody has known everybody since before they were a fetus. You know, it's like, it just everybody. Your kindergarten teacher's there. It's bad. So the whole town came out for this stand-up show. And I asked the guy if he had ever lost his wedding ring. Rachel has never lost. Leslie's lost her ring. Rachel says not since she started wearing the silicone ones. Gary said, yeah. That a toddler flushed it down the toilet. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I've never lost my wedding ring. So I asked that to this group in Pennsylvania, and this guy said, yeah, I lost my wedding ring in a cow. I was like, I'm going to need more information. You can see the audience like get nervous. They're just like, they all tense up. You see his kindergarten teacher is just like, Ted is not a farmer. Wasn't good. Keep him away from the cows. So I said I was brave though. I was like, hey, how did you lose your wedding ring in a cow? And he goes, oh, I was feeding it and it ate it off my hand. Oh, thank God. You want to lead with that, right? You got to lead with that. Lead with it. Oh, Brianna, never. Your husband has broken or lost at least 5 this year. Holy heck. My husband has also lost 5 wedding rings, which, do you know how hard you have to work to lose 5 rings? You got to be trying. That is a big red flag right there. He lost 1 in the free samples at a Costco. Right in the trail mix. That's gone. Honestly, I do this for a living. I do not make enough money to support this hobby of his, of losing wedding rings. So what I do is I go on eBay and I buy him used rings. One of them was in a cow. Had to pay extra for it. He's wearing what's the one that I get him the kind that have inscriptions on the inside. He's wearing one right now that just says "Happy Anniversary, Karen." 1956. He's got dainty hands. That's why I married him. Do any of you have an age difference relationship? My husband and I, we have a pretty big age difference. He is 20 years older than I am. And, you know, people can be kind of weird about it. They'll say crazy things. They'll be like, oh, don't you want a man your own age that you can watch play Xbox? No. I want to watch my man play Atari. I want to come home, he's just working on a Rubik's Cube. You know what I mean? Putting the little lights in the Etch-a-Sketch, playing with a cap gun, you know, riding a penny farthing bike. What's he got? Run down the street with a stick and a hoop. I'd love it if I just came home, he cracked open a Zima. That'd be the best. That'd be the best. I don't know. People say weird things. I don't understand. People will say, I don't understand why you would marry somebody that's 20 years older than you. I don't understand why people want to date someone their own age. You know how much I learn? The other day, my husband just turned to me and he goes, I remember when barcodes were invented. I just said, oh, hang on a second. I'm just over here updating your life insurance policy because you, sir, are 400. What do you mean you remember when barcodes were invented? And he goes, oh, well, you know, I remember when they came out. I said, well, what did they do before barcodes? And he said, they just wrote the price on it. And I felt like an idiot because I've been to Kentucky. It's like, come on, Ashley, get it together. He did the same thing the other day with, he said, it hasn't been in your driving life that they changed turning right on red. I remember when you weren't even allowed to turn right on red, then that changed. Like, my God, pull out your stagecoach, Grandpa. What do you mean? What is going on? It's like I open up the freezer and I'm just drowned in reading glasses. Why do they end up in the freezer? Any insights? Any insights? I would love it. People are weird about it. Somebody told me to date men my own age. I tried it. It just made my husband mad. What can I do? When we first got together, though, like, we did what you're supposed to do. You go out on the first date and you kind of like manipulate the truth a little bit. You know, I said I was 10 years older. He said he was rich. It just really tricked me on that one. I've always loved older guys, though. That's been my thing. One time I visited Florida. Whew, almost passed out. Not good. Not good. It's not all great, though. You know, it's not all sunshine and Metamucil. The other day I went to the post office because our PO box was screwed up. You know, we live on base and we use the PO box for everything. And the PO box was messed up. And the mailman, I said, "Hey, you still haven't fixed the PO box." And he goes, "I already told your dad." The mail was fixed. I was just like, okay, all right, that's not good. But I tell you what, my family was not happy when I married a guy that was that much older. But my grandma was the most supportive she's ever been. She was not upset at all. She kept calling my husband handsome, asking if he could come over and fix things. I was like, all right, just because you're closer in age, I will still fight you. Just back down, Grandma, back down. I have learned, though, that love, you know, we've been married for 10 years. Love is important. Love fades. But you know what grows? Compounding interest in a 401k, which JJ Montanera will talk to you about after I'm done here to close us out. I get to, like, I do get to do a lot of cool things. I've been called a gold digger, which, you know, it makes sense because look at me. This is the stereotypical gold digger look, right? Gold diggers, they keep it high and tight. Right there. In fact, if you ask any rich older man what he's looking for, he'll say, "Can you bring me a lady that looks like she just got back from her second deployment?" And you know what? Make sure she's got lots of opinions. That's what I want. That's what I want. I'm not a gold digger. I'm classier than that. I'm an old man prospector. It's way better. You know what I mean? It makes me mad when people call me a gold digger because my husband is actually in the military. And you guys know, you don't marry a military man for the money because most of that money will be spent on Ford F-150s. It's where it all goes, I swear. And energy drinks. I can't. I'm so in debt from these Bang energy drinks. It's terrible. Rippets from back in the day. My husband's been in for a long time. He's been in for 32 years. And because he's been in for so long, I found out that he is eligible to be buried at Arlington National Cemetery, which is huge. That's a big deal, right? It's going to save me so much money. Just thrilled. So because he's eligible to be buried at Arlington, it turns out because I'm married to him, I am also eligible to be buried at Arlington. I don't know if you guys know how that works. You get one hole. DC real estate, you know what I mean? It's expensive. You get one hole. So whoever dies first goes on the bottom. The next person goes on top. And it's unlikely. But I got to thinking, what if I die first? You know what I mean? What if something happens to me first? And so I'm there on the bottom. And then my husband, I know he's going to need somebody. I know my body won't even be cold. He'll be out trying to find somebody else. There'll be me, my husband on me, and then whatever trollop he marries on top of us. That is an Oreo that I do not want to be a part of. You know what I mean? Mm-mm. Yeah. See? Well, yeah, you're learning things today. Yeah. So it turns out I wanted to look up the reg and make sure it was all legit. And it is, as long as they've been in for 20 years. And I thought, you know, it's kind of ridiculous. I'm a professional, silly person. Why would I be able to be buried at Arlington? And I thought about how somebody coming back from overseas you know, and we're filling out the paperwork together. And he's like, yeah, I did 6 tours. I went to Iraq, Afghanistan, got 3 Purple Hearts, decided I'm going to be buried at Arlington. And I'm like, oh, really? Me too. And he's like, oh, okay. What did you do? Well, turns out there was an easier way. So that's what you got to do. That's what you got to do. All right, everybody. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I hope I get to meet you all in person. I am coming to Japan and Europe next year. So if you are going to any of those places, please come on out. We're going to wrap things up with a little prize here. And our headliner for this evening, please welcome a financial planner with USAA's military advocacy group, a certified financial planner, a native of Kansas City, earned his bachelor's degree in engineering from the United States Military Academy, West Point, New York. Are they going to win next week in the game?
I think so. I mean, I've put my wealth on it. So there
you put your wealth. You're from USAA. Gambling is great.
Not recommended. Personal advice.
My personal advice is bet on Army. Please welcome JJ Montanaro.
Well, hey, thanks, Ashley. Great to be here. Did you want to give away the cards first? You want to close with that?
Let's close. Close strong. We're close strong.
Close strong. That would not be with me. That would be with the gift cards. So
yeah.
I'm going to let you do the gift cards at the end. But in the meantime, I would just say, hey, great job. The fact that you can do this in this format to me is amazing. I've been sitting here laughing, and hats off to you. I'd tip my cap to you, but I have no cap on.
Thank you.
I've never been accused of being a 12-year-old boy, but hey, that's hard work. So I would say this. I'm not going to talk to anybody about 401ks. I would say that based on the ring stories tonight, everybody needs to look to USAA for a valuable personal property policy. So protect your valuable jewelry with USAA. We're here to help. But really, my first assignment years ago was in Korea. And so I've got an appreciation for that part of the world. And I know it's very different. And I'm glad we're doing this for the Pacific arena and area. And I know and appreciate all the challenges you're going through. And so on behalf of the almost 40,000 employees here at USA, let me say thank you for all you do. I mean, I think tonight was great. I wish there were a lot more people that could see it, because great information from Barb and Beth, really, to me, a lot of new information for me. Great comedy from Ashley, and great work by the whole MilSpouse Fest team. So on behalf of USA, and on a personal note, I wish you the best as we go into the holiday season. And thank you for all you do as military spouses. Now let's close on a strong note, Ashley. Bring it.
Bam, bringing it. Okay, we got 2 prizes left. Up first is a $50 Visa gift card from our sponsor, USAA, and that goes to Veronica Durst. Veronica, congratulations. You got that. A big thank you to USA for that. And our final prize for MilSpouse Fest Virtual Pacific Region is $100 Visa gift card from USAA, and that goes to Melissa Nilsson. Congratulations, Melissa.
Here you go, Melissa.
There you go. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. If you can ever see a MilSpouse Fest in person, check us out, and please share everything that you've learned today on social media and how much you enjoyed it. So there, we're going to San Diego, right, Pat, Omaha, and so it's Pensacola and Mick. So I want to see you guys again soon, and have a great day. Goodbye.
Take care. Bye.